to change করুন নাকি there is always a particular twist, strategic intent into it, making a comparison with US support to anti-Soviet Mujahideen.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell something about the motives behind today's seminar. The relationship between Bangladesh and the United States is based on mutual trust and friendship. The initial years of this relationship was largely based on the geopolitical consideration of Bangladesh's strategic positioning as an Indian Ocean littoral country. With these initial remarks, I would like now to request Professor Dr. S.K. Tawfiq M. Hall.
Today's program will delve into historical underpinnings of this bilateral relationship and engage with its current dynamics in the aftermath of the July Revolution 2024, a movement led largely by the youth of our country, and also our university students heavily were engaged.
We are now discussing this issue at a time when Bangladesh is trying to find a new path towards peace and development, and we're asking questions to ourselves to set our future. Now, we must accept that our successive governments in Bangladesh has not succeeded in addressing people's desire for participatory democracy, good governance, preservation of rights, peace and development. So there has been a lacking in that context.
And also the China factor you covered very extensively. And two important aspects of the challenging issues for now for negotiation. One is this humanitarian corridor and Rohingya issue, how US and Bangladesh are willing to see these issues being getting solved.
The aspects of the relationship that our honorable keynote speaker has identified, I'd like to classify them into two: cosmetic versus substantive. The trade negotiations, a few $1 million of help to build some refugee camps in Cox's Bazar, Bhashantek, signing agreements, helping our students. These are all very welcome and very important. But these are, given the size of the US economy, given the size of US's influence in the world, and given the expectations of 170 million people. Many of them were on the streets of Dhaka, Chittagong, Rajshahi, and many parts, and even in New York, Washington, London, Zurich, Dubai. These are, given the topic this morning is the US-Bangladesh relations in the aftermath or in the context of the July uprising.
Two, unlike my preceding speaker, I'd like to insist upon the geopolitical significance of proximity in Sino-Bangladesh relations in the current contemporary context, and I would expect American understanding in this regard. During this student uprising over the last 1 year, the United States had shown great understanding for our younger generation, for the values of democracy, and for the need to accept a transition where the younger generation would play a useful role.
Has been led by the US in achieving a few landmark achievements in the industry. So whether it was, and one of the most significant that I bring today is the removal of the child labor from the industry. It was US Congressman Crowley who raised it and supported in Congress about removal of child labor in Bangladesh industry, now going back more than 25 years ago.
I also want to make a disclaimer that I'm not an academic by any means. I'm a practitioner, or a former practitioner, currently a civil society member. For some of what I talk about with regard to US and Bangladesh relationship, I have an insider's perspective. So to give you context, I started my career here in Dhaka in 1990. I was here 1990 to 92. From 1997 to 1999, I was in Washington looking after Bangladesh at the State Department. I came back in 2007, was here until 2011, went away for a year, came back, and was here from 2012 to 14. So for 10 years of the past 35 years, I was directly engaged in US-Bangladesh relations. For the other 25 years, I've been an observer. an observer while I was doing other jobs in the State Department, and then maybe a more interested observer in the last 4 years when I've been working on Bangladesh issues.
So, secondly, with regard to foreign policy, I think that foreign policy primarily aims at promoting national interest. It's not really between choosing sides, China or the USA, because we need to balance off, we need to hedge our foreign policy strategies. You cannot simply go for the USA at the cost of China. We know that the high tariffs policies are actually against China, but we smaller countries are becoming the victims. How to save ourselves? That should be actually our policy.
Point I'm going to make here is that Bangladesh wants a very friendly relationship with India. US friendship is, of course, is a robust relationship, but Bangladesh doesn't want America to see Bangladesh through the lenses of India. At this point, this is our request. Can America stop seeing Bangladesh through the lens of India?
The geopolitical position of Bangladesh is placing us in a very important position where we are equally important for USA. And I personally think that Bangladesh is contributing through export in the US economy, but for USA, we believe that Bangladesh holds a strong position because of our geopolitical position, and there are some other areas. Since my time is very limited, only 2 minutes, I don't want to talk about it right now. But I personally think that we are in a position from where, as Mr. John has clearly mentioned, that the government has taken right initiative to negotiate the matter with the US government and USTR.
Because the raw material is mainly for Bangladesh. In sweater also is possible because of the price structure and how it is. In woven only, it is challenging, but then, again, it's a matter of how we position ourselves with the fabric, because even Bangladesh is producing.
From basic products, we are trying to move to man-made fibers and things like that. And China is the almost sole producer of raw materials of man-made fibers. And Vietnam and Cambodia, countries like that, coming out with favorable tariff deals.
It bears watching the relative position. Even in terms of signaling, if you look, for example, at the difference from the April to July letters, some people would say, Bangladesh, the initial number was 37, it went down to 35, that's not much. But the trend went down, and in many other cases it didn't. So I think even in signaling terms, the more recent letter from the United States showed that there had been some progress in negotiations. In terms of the impact of the garment industry in Bangladesh, I think that's undeniable. I think anyone would recognize that, and I'm sure that's a consideration that the U.S. well understands. But to be honest, when it comes to President Trump himself, I'm not sure how much importance he gives to what the impact of this tariff will be on the countries with which he's negotiating. And I don't think that's unique to Bangladesh. And I'm guessing that the argument that Bangladesh makes in that regard, every other country makes the same argument.
Over a long period of time, what went wrong in Bangladesh in terms of the, governance, all sort of humanitarian, other sort of violations that had occurred over the last 17 years in the country. Although today, John has mentioned that U.S. government in particular did not, or they were not involved, but U.S. citizens, I would say, they have been always raising voice against all those odds that had happened in Bangladesh. So we must acknowledge their, contributions to the flip over. Eventually, we have got in Bangladesh a new Bangladesh. Some of us try to define. And obviously, from US particularly, when you go back and look forward, particularly looking back, many of us, most of us try to acknowledge the contribution of the United States of America in Bangladesh, in particular, some of the very important dimensions. They have been actually helping us in terms of the security cooperations to development assistance to even humanitarian aid. US has always been pioneer in terms of helping us.